Bickley and Marotta mornings. Arizona sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
Mat Ishbia is an uncommonly good owner, so good that the NBA instituted a penal luxury tax system to prevent guys like him from embarrassing other owners who aren't so generous, who don't share his financial commitment to winning. But Ishbia is also no different than anyone else in professional sports. He is just the latest owner to be dealing with a rough initiation, where there is a big difference between your personal ambition and the on-court results produced by your basketball team, where the road to hell is often paved with good intentions. And this is why so many in the NBA rolled their eyes when Ishbia said the Suns were going to compete for championships every year, because most people know the business does not work that way. And it's also why some fans have already turned on Ishbia, courtesy of revisionist history and recency bias. This much is certain: for a man who is ultra competitive and hell-bent on winning, his first super team was strangely lukewarm and non-competitive. His hand-picked coach fit like a second left shoe, and hoping it gets better in 2024 is a dicey proposition built on just that, hope. If our super team underperforms again, it would be wise for Ishbia to accept his first very hard lesson, understanding that his expertise only goes so far, and that it's almost always a good idea for an owner to get out of the roster composition business. Because your heart might be pure, but it doesn't mean your basketball team is in the right place, and we all learned that the hard way. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW, who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
Well, it just comes down to that 3 out of 4 years, right? So there's certain rules that really impact you if you're 3 out of 4 years. So this last year didn't even count. So the next 2 years, we're going to be in the second apron, and we're going to be very expensive. Luxury tax is going to be high this year. It's going to be high again next year, right? And we're going to compete, and then we're going to see how we do. And then the third year, we have to try to get out of it. That would probably be the best and most intelligent decision, because that would make it so our picks are not frozen and not pushed to the back of the draft in 2032 or 2033. I mean, we're far out in the future, but we still are very prudent with that, because we're trying to be competitive all the time, not just for 2 years and off for the next 5 years. So we're very aware of those rules. But at the same time, if we're on the cusp of a championship, we'll have to make those calculated decisions. We're here to try to win a championship, and then when we win one, we're going to try to figure out how to win another one. Like, that's what we're going to try to do. That's our goal. Does it guarantee it? Absolutely not. But I promise you, it gives us a better chance than a lot of other teams, because there's probably 20 teams in the league right now that know they have zero chance of winning a championship next year, and we are not one of them.
That's Mat Ishbia. He appeared on Burns Gambo yesterday here on Arizona Sports, talking about the further restrictions the Suns could face by being, and we've asked the question, how long is this the tact? Is this the strategy of the front office? And he says, this year, next year, pointing to a 2-year window. And this became a topic of discussion with Burns and Gambo after that interview yesterday. And a lot of their feedback that they got, too, from listeners was a 1-year window probably makes more sense. But it all depends on what happens this year. If this year is just an abject disaster, Bick, I don't think they're going to stick to the 2-year window.
I don't think so either. I think that would be silly. Then you would know that this idea was flawed. And again, good intentions,
yes.
Bad execution.
Yes.
And it speaks to that lesson that even the best owners have to learn, and that is, as I said in the blast, your expertise only goes so far. And it's very, very hard for people as exceptionally successful as Mat Ishbia is, because A, you don't have people telling you the truth. You have people telling you what you want to hear. It's kind of part and parcel with being a billionaire. It's why you become a billionaire, some people would suggest. And then it's just, when you're that successful in everything you do, you just assume that you're gifted, that you're special. And in a lot of ways you are, but in some ways pro sports will humble everybody, because it's human competition. You're putting a team that you put together against a team somebody else put together, and once that team takes the floor, your expertise means nothing. And that's what happens to even the most well-intentioned owners. Mm-hmm. And Jarrett, very, very, in a rare, poignant moment, pointed out it's the difference between intentions and results. They're not always in alignment, and one doesn't always compensate for the other. You can't necessarily just pardon an owner all the time for good intentions.
No.
Because you got to get the results.
And there are a lot of times, on the flip side of that, there's accidental positive results.
Yes.
You didn't have the intention to do something, but it just worked out a certain way.
That's right.
Another thing that Mat Ishbia has been talked about for recently was the week of the draft. The stuff that popped up on ESPN from Stephen A. Smith commenting / reporting that the Suns are done with Kevin Durant. They want out of the Kevin Durant business. And then the next day followed that up with make no mistake about it, Kevin Durant's not too happy in Phoenix. Now, KD responded to it in a certain way when he talked to Kellen Olson and others up in Vegas and said, it's inaccurate. Burns and Gambo asked about Mat Ishbia because Matt himself came out on social media the day of the draft and said, this is nonsense. Everybody's happy moving forward. We're all on the same page. But he commented further on it yesterday.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Thanks for the kind words. And, here's what I say. A lot of times, and you guys know this, the national media and some media, they don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, right? A good story, and I think Kevin even realized, you push the KD wants to leave button, and it creates a whole rift of excitement and stories and talk, and it's all BS, right? And so the reality is I'm going to stick up for my players. I'm going to be – I don't follow the owner manual. There's no owner's manual. I'm going to be who I am. And some owners will just stay quiet and not say anything. Some owners will not go into luxury tax. Some owners will not care about certain fan experience. I'm who I am. And one of the things my players know, that I got their back. And you know what? I know they've got my back too. And that's how we do it here in Phoenix. And whether that works or not, we'll find out. But that's the way we are. That's who I am. And I'm staying true to it. And so that kind of stuff, there's always anyone can say whatever they want. Doesn't mean it's true. And so we'll try to back it up with some facts and clarify it stuff for our team. Hopefully our fans know who we are and what we're about. And if we're going to make a trade or make a decision, we'll have rationale behind it. But the Kevin Durant stuff was just silly.
Yeah, and it can be termed as silly now, and I have no reason not to believe that. I don't think there's any reason for anybody really to believe that other than Stephen A. Smith saying that he's got good people giving him good information. But let's face that, too. This is all a fluid situation, especially with a player like Kevin Durant.
Right.
And like I said back at that time is the one thing we know about Kevin Durant is if he's unhappy, it'll get out there.
Right.
There's not really any reason to speculate on it because he has indicated when he's been unhappy in the past.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think that has been a stunning lack of accountability from Stephen A. Smith given the way he framed that report, right? Making it very clear on numerous occasions that he was reporting, meaning if I had the Jared Carlin breaking news sounder, I'd play it right now. That to me, I think you got to reconcile that. You need to come out and say, no, I'm right, trust me, or I was wrong, my bad.
I told you though when it happened, the way he prefaced by "don't believe anything they're saying."
Yep,
that allowed him to then say anything.
Yeah,
because they all have James Jones, Mat Ishbia, Kevin Durant. Each of the three major parties each refuted it, but by saying don't believe what they're saying, he could then go and say anything because it doesn't matter if they refute him or not.
Well, either way, I'm hoping that is accurate. Again, eyes and ears open to everything, folks.
Yes.
You know how this league works. But I do think I do tend to believe Mat Ishbia when he speaks, and I'm glad to hear that KD is here. That his head is where his feet are. And shooting jump shots in a nightclub.
That wasn't responsible for the cash drain, was it?
Yeah. Well, listen, because the KD thing, he's gonna have to be as good as he was last year, and on court he was terrific. And
in some areas of his game, he's going to have to be better than he was last year.
Exactly. That's exactly
Namely,
right.
taking care of the basketball.
And defensively, he had great defensive moments, and he's capable of being an impact defender at the rim. This whole team collectively has got to commit to playing defense.
Real quick before we move on, there's something interesting that you just hit on there. It's very difficult to be an engaged, not even a lockdown defender, an engaged defender for as long as the NBA season is.
True.
And especially when you are asked to carry a heavy offensive load, and we're seeing it again in these exhibition games. Watch Devin Booker play. He looks like a different player because he is a pest defensively. He's all over the court, and he's making all of those like gritty plays. Mm-hmm. When he gets to Phoenix, he's asked to carry a big offensive load. So you have to find a balance there.
That's a good point.
There's a reason why Michael Jordan is revered as he is, LeBron James are revered as they are, because they did it on both ends consistently.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.